support women in building and scaling their small businesses through these weekly business automation masterminds and mentorships, where we focus on ways just to save time through AI, other structured processes, so we can just attract more clients, generate passive income, and just expand impact in the world. And that's what really matters. And I'm here with Kristen Schmidt Dykes. She is a certified business consultant. You've been in entrepreneurship for over 20 years, especially in the nonprofit. You have the metaphysical practitioner in you, and you are the author of a new book that just came out called Mind Your Own Business. What an amazing name. Really looking forward to that. Kristen, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Joe. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, Kristen, I want to start out with Mind Your Own Business. This is the book. Tell us a little bit about what this is and why this is important to you. Why did you spend so much time and effort putting this out?
Yeah, so I will tell you, this has kind of been a long journey. As a certified business consultant and coach, I have spent the last 10 years after selling my own businesses and starting a nonprofit, guiding other entrepreneurs into their own business dreams. And so this includes anyone who has a business spark, they want to be an entrepreneur, they want to be a business owner, helping them try to figure out those next steps in getting their business launched. I had to pivot after the pandemic, so I had just kind of worked on the sidelines in consulting, but I had these great ideas to put in book format. And there were a lot of people that had come to me and said, "Hey, you really should publish a book." Now, as a published author, I have a children's book and I have a science fiction novel that I released last year. I thought, you know what? I'm ready to do this. It's time to, get my writing hat back on. So I captured all of the materials that I had been teaching and had learned as a consultant to parlay to just anybody off the street that wanted to learn what it takes to become a business owner. And there's two separate categories for that. You can be a business owner and maybe not an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is somebody who takes risks and has these great ideas. And a business owner might just show up every day and run their business. And maybe they don't have the inkling to grow. They're very comfortable where they're at. I like working with entrepreneurs, people that really want to see a bigger vision, and those who want to better, maybe they're in a corporate job and they want to, think about ways that they can enhance their career by being a business owner. In America, business owners make up the majority of businesses and employ more people than the corporate realm. So to me, my heart is in small business. I mean, I was a small business owner. I created several small businesses and was very successful in selling them and kind of moving on to the next thing. So I really wanted to create something and give the reader a guide to kind of help them get started. When you're first starting out, there's a lot of resources online, but not a lot of people know exactly how to hone in and take each step. It doesn't have to be sequentially. It can be, taking things like, I'm going to work on this one day and, I'm going to work on my branding the next day and the financials the next day. So this is just kind of a comprehensive workbook. And it's a workbook because I want people to engage with their desires and have them see in writing what they want to do. Not so much like a business plan, but just kind of like a roadmap. And so I created a workbook in conjunction with the verbiage in the book to kind of help them get started. So it's a kind of a quick read, but I think it's a great first step for people who have that spark and just really aren't quite sure where to start.
So this is a book for someone that's out there in the corporate world and they're like, you know what? I really feel the calling to do my own thing, to step out, take brave steps in the world. So this is a book that they can follow, a guide. And there's a book and a workbook, or the same thing?
It's a combined text. So it's 95 pages. It is just something very quick and easy to read through. It shouldn't take somebody more than a couple hours, but to get through the context. But with that, I want to preface by saying it could take somebody 6 years after they bought this book, because it really just depends on when that person is ready to kind of pull the trigger and get going and get that momentum to launch their business. It's also geared towards, because I am a co-founder of a nonprofit, there's a lot of good nuggets in there to help people who want to start a nonprofit and they want to be in the do-gooder sector as well. It's really for anybody who just has an idea, but they're just not sure where to start. How do I get my business off the ground? Who do I need to talk to? Who do I need to align myself with? And it's a very transparent read, because business ownership, anybody who has started a business or launched a business knows it's not a cakewalk. There's a lot that goes into that.
A lot of steps. I thought for a long time I was telling people I've started 12 businesses, and the other day I went back through and was looking through, and I was like, oh my God, it's been 22 of them. I didn't even realize. And some of them are bigger that have 80 to 120 people, and some of them are just small with a couple employees or just myself. And because a business really is just, it's a container, it's an idea, it's a brand, it's an entity unto itself, right?
Yeah.
So as soon as it takes that entity, and it's the best businesses are an extension of ourself and our truth that are usually serving a prior version of ourselves. Those are usually the best people that we can serve, is like, because that's the person that we know the most. We know their pain points, we know their needs, because
Yeah.
we've been in the weeds, and we're like, oh my God, I felt so alone. I didn't have other people to bounce my decisions. I made the offer or the product, but I had no idea if I was getting it out there in the right way. I didn't know if my accounting was set up the right way. And so, I think it's really important to be surrounding yourself with other people kind of in the same boat, and just know you're not alone.
That's true. But one thing I think an important aspect of that is, you're a serial entrepreneur, as am I. There's a lot of people out there that they may have tried and failed. And so they're kind of afraid to put their feet back in the fire. So if I can just kind of put that out there, if you still have great ideas, you owe it to yourself to explore those opportunities, because just because maybe one project didn't quite come to fruition, it doesn't mean that another one can't be successful. And I am living proof of that, because I have started and tried and failed miserably, and then tried again, and then other projects, had that light, that glimmer. I knew that I could move forward and invest my time and money into them to make them a success. So just wanted to throw that
And
out.
many times, more often than not, your first business isn't that successful or is a failure, and that's okay too. That is actually part of the process. Like, that's part of being an entrepreneur, is just one, follow that curiosity in you, and find an idea that when you think about the idea and you go to look it up and go, has anyone ever done this? And if you're like, that's such a no-brainer. If no one's done it, and you're just like, but this should exist, it's probably a good idea. And take your time, get help. There's a lot of people out there that are willing to either help you for free, or
Yes.
coaches or mentors and so
Yeah.
on. If you have a little capital, go with someone that's been through the ringer, something
Yeah.
similar, and you'll get there a lot faster. Or do it all on your own, make a ton of mistakes, and that's okay too. That's also part of the beautiful part of the process, is like, and it's really the journey in business and entrepreneurship. You have to learn to enjoy it and focus
Yes.
on the things that are important to you. Kristen, I want to know, in this book, what are some of the most powerful exercises that you think someone can get out of this, or what is some knowledge that maybe isn't so obvious to the people listening?
So I always start, and I'll reference a lot of my consulting, because I think it's important to put things into context. When I work with a new client, the first thing out of my mouth to them is I want them to answer why. Why are you doing this business? What is the why behind your philosophy on starting a new business? So it is really important to know in your soul, so to speak, why do I want to start this business? Why is this important to me? And so your listeners may or may not have heard of a SWOT analysis. So you've got your strengths, your weaknesses, the opportunities, and threats. And I put that into a personal context, not just necessarily a business context. So if you want to start a retail store. Have you ever worked in retail or have you shopped in retail? Like, do you have the wherewithal to know what it takes to get a successful retail business at a brick and mortar shop up and running? If you are, uh, a veterinarian student and you want your own vet practice, how much experience did you have prior to opening your own practice? Do you have experience managing people? What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? What kind of opportunities in the area that you want to open your business are you able to kind of hone in on? And I think knowing what your personal strengths are and maybe things that you need to work on are really important as you unfold this map of starting your own business. In the book, I had mentioned it's a workbook, so there's a lot of different scenarios that I have given with the permission of some of my clients. Hey, can I use you as a case study in this book because I want to present this in a way where people can understand that there are real people out there that have struggled or that have had successes. And earlier, you had mentioned that there's support system. There are so many great resources. I live in Northwest Arkansas and this is a small business hub. There are several startup incubators that are available for people of all skill levels. So if you're even in high school and you want to open a tech company or create an app, there are technical mentors. There's also places like Score, which offer free mentorship to fledgling entrepreneurs. My service, what I do as a consultant, is a little more, it's geared for a little bit more one-on-one, somebody that needs some accountability, somebody that needs to maybe have, I'm not going to say hold their hand, but somebody that really wants to work with one person through the entire process. I also do cohorts, which is really fun. And I've done this in the past and I'm relaunching in January. And this is getting together a group of about 10 startup individuals virtually. And we go through the book together and kind of go through the pattern of what it takes to become a successful business owner. So they get to talk to their fellow cohortians, I call them, like the other people that want to start a business, and they can bounce ideas off of them. But if somebody doesn't have that kind of resource, my best advice is find a business owner in your area that you respect, call them up or stop in and ask them if you can buy them a cup of coffee and take 20 minutes of their time. Have a list of questions ready to ask them and listen to the feedback. Don't just talk, be an active listener so you can really absorb what they have to tell you, because a lot of people have great experience and they're willing to share that with you. Like you said, people love to give new entrepreneurs great advice. If you run across anybody that you can maybe sense that there's a little jealousy, like, I don't want you doing that because you're going to be a competitor, just move on to the next person or call somebody in a completely different area. When I started Pet Care Au Pair, my dog walking and pet sitting company, I wasn't the only person in my area that was doing it. I wanted to separate myself. So I started calling companies in California and Boston and saying, hey, I want to do this. What successes have you had? And what would you steer clear of? So I was able to get this great insight from people that I had never met, and they were willing to give me time. I mean, not a lot of time, but 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there. And then locally, I would take other business owners that had nothing to do with animal husbandry, I'd buy them a cup of coffee or bring them, some donuts for their team and just sit down and maybe shadow them and see how they manage their day-to-day operations so I could learn something. I had a lot of corporate experience, but that small business experience was really what I was hungry for. So it just takes a little initiative and a little creative outlook, and you'll get there.
Yeah, I love that. So in this workbook, it starts out really defining the why. And I think
Mhm.
that's so important in any business that you do, because if you're really just chasing the money,
Mhm.
you're going to burn out. You don't care that much about it. But if you find that why, not only that, but when you have your true why, people feel you, they
Yeah.
hear you, they
Yeah.
want to root for you. I always say, like, you meet someone, these networking events, you shake their hand. Oh, what are you excited about? It's like, oh, nothing really. But I'm in a job and I make widgets go 2% faster.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, do you like it? They're like, no, not really, but it pays the bills. And I'm always thinking to myself, like, what are you doing with it? You have one life for sure. Maybe there's more, but for sure you have one life. Like, is that really what you want to be doing with it? And I don't think everyone in the world should be an entrepreneur, but I think that everyone should be doing truly what's in their soul and their calling. And I don't mean it in some woo-woo way. I mean it in like this way of like when you really go deep into yourself and say, what am I passionate to do? What am I curious about? What lights me up? What's going to make me get out of bed and go, I get to do this. Thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you, universe. Whatever it is that you're thanking, like, I'm so grateful that I get to do this. And what's interesting in sort of soul line businesses is what I like to call it is that it's always serving someone else. Always. When we're truly in that passion, because that's what creates fulfillment. That's what creates the joy. When we're only serving ourselves, trying to gain and gain and gain, it's like the energetics that we're putting out into the world is very repelling, right? When we're like, oh my God, I want to help these people. Like, I'm so passionate about this. Like, that's what's going to attract people to you. So not only is it more aligned with who you are and sort of the environment you're in and in the world around you, but it's the thing that's actually going to bring people to you instead of trying to take. The question is, how much can you give to others? How much can you give? And the more we give, the more we receive, right? It's a very
Yeah.
old adage. So
Sure.
yeah, I'm
That's
curious for
true.
you, what
It's
are
true.
the things? Yeah, well, I don't want to cut you off here, but like, you know with this
Mhm.
and you, what is your why do you do what you do?
So I've always had a servant leadership mindset. My ethos is humanity, right? I have, as long as I can remember, I have always wanted to help other people. And I didn't really know what that, pardon me, I really didn't know what that looked like for a long time because I thought that I had to go to college and then I had to get a job and I had to be this and I had to do this. It wasn't until I got a little bit older and started pushing back against what was what I thought was expected of me from our society in different cultures. And I was very fortunate to travel. I started off in film production, and I as a producer, and I traveled the world. And I remember being in Japan, and I believe it's called is it called Ikigaya? It is like a it's part of their culture. So all everybody in Japan grows up with knowing that they have a purpose. There is a purpose in everybody, and it might be servant leadership, but it might be technical. It might be rearing a family. It might be just feeding others, but there's purpose attached to everything. And the Japanese are not religious people, but they live a life, a purposeful life. And as I started traveling and meeting different cultures and seeing that what I thought my purpose was and making money. And I remember growing up and hearing this adage, he who dies with the most toys wins. And I believed that up until a certain point. And I
Mm.
thought, well, when you're dead, you're dead. And what kind of legacy am I going to leave behind if it's just cars and boats and houses and clothes and all that stupid stuff that really has no relevance? And it never felt authentic to me. When I started my businesses, there was a need we had a huge feral cat population. So my business was one town just north of Detroit. So Detroit's a very big city. And there were these feral cats. So I said, well, you know what? I want to give back to my community. And yes, I'm a business owner, but I can also take my skill set and be of service to this community because I didn't want the animals to get sick or die or get hit by cars. And I won't go into all the nuances of it, but I partnered with people that I knew shared the same passion. And so that's how I founded a nonprofit. And what I found was my day job was great. My businesses were great. I loved my team. I loved my clients. But what I loved more was giving back to my community and educating my community. And that's when it really clicked for me that I'm a probably, I mean, a great leader when it comes to making change. And I had always been that person and I always loved being that person, but now I had a platform. And so I did step down from the board in 2017 because I moved out of the state, but I still mentor this nonprofit that I started, and it has grown exponentially. And it's more rewarding than anything to know that my legacy of starting this nonprofit has changed so many lives, not just the animals, but the humans who have volunteered and given their time and their resources. And so when I think about, it's, I think about what's it going to look like when I am on my deathbed and I look back. It's not going to be, what I had from a tangible point. It's not going to be the stuff. It's going to be like, did I make a difference? Did I leave this world in a better place? Now, I'm not Mother Teresa, and I'm certainly, don't have the same financial wherewithal that like the Gates Foundation has to like help numerous organizations. But I believe that every person, whether it's large or small, can contribute to the betterment of our planet. And so whatever that looks like for somebody in a business environment, take your business and then see how you can also contribute in a social or a community way. It doesn't necessarily mean starting a nonprofit, but it could be volunteering once a month or once a year, just so you know that you are giving back, because that feeds you so much more than just having a regular business. And so I do talk a little bit about that in Mind Your Own Business. Just be conscious about how you're spending your time, who you're spending your time with, and how you're giving back.
I would even take it another step further because for a lot of my career, it was focusing on how to make money and creating businesses that were money focused.
Mhm.
And then I was doing the things I really loved over on the side, community, mentorship, helping people, etc. And I had this limiting belief that if I were to get paid for the things that I really love to do and I'm passionate about, somehow I was like mitigating that gift, or I was tainting,
Mm.
and a lot of us have this mentality that if we take money for it, then it makes it bad, and like money is evil, and the exchange of money is evil, or it's greedy, and what I'm really learning in my older age, almost going on 50, is that the more we can align our passions and our income, the happier we are and the better we can serve the world. Because otherwise, what you're doing is, you got your thing over here and then that you don't care about but makes you money. And there's nothing wrong with this, but it's just then you have the thing that you're giving away for free. And many times it's because we don't have the self-worth or the confidence to be charging for the thing that we actually really love, or we're so afraid that if we charge money for it, that it's going to take away our joy for doing it. And what I'm really learning is if you're smart and wise about it and take your time and think about it, there's sustainable ways to get paid for what you actually do love, to
Yeah.
be really confident to receive that, know that others are happy to give that to you, just like you would be happy to give that to them and support them in their mission. And for me, this is the coming together has been a little wonky sometimes. And sometimes it's like, well, there's a lot of like limiting beliefs that I know that I had, and I believe that others have shared. So it's like bringing those together can be such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because so I've worked with a lot of artists, and I found that like artists and healers, they tend to be very shy when it comes to, I don't know, pricing their goods. So
Mm,
I've been a facilitator for an artist cohort program in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Very arts community, very art centric. Um, it's also a very spiritual community. A lot of healers, a lot of mystics and metaphysical practitioners. And when I've worked with them, that's they're stuck because they've been told or they've been conditioned to believe that as an artist, you want everybody to be able to afford your art. But guess what? When we did break evens on a lot of my artists, and I would look at their work, and let's say they had a 4x5 canvas, but they spent $500 on paint, and then they spent another 50 hours of their time, but then they were selling their work for $50. So I said, is this a hobby? Is this your side hustle? Or do you really, really want to make money doing this as a career? And the same thing with healers. People, I worked with somebody who did tarots and mediumship, and they were just accepting love offers, which is great when you're first starting out and you're kind of building that clientele. But I can tell you, this person was really gifted, and their time, just like your time and my time, is valuable. So I really like to express to people that know your worth, and if you need to get competitive, that's fine too, but don't be afraid to charge what you're worth, because your value is just as important as the next person. And so I think a lot of people do get kind of caught up on that, like, I'm just not sure. Or if you're first starting out, you want to, lower your costs. If you're really good at what you do, somebody will pay. And don't be afraid to lose customers because your prices go up. If that's what you need to make a living, and that's what you need to further your business journey, then do it. Just do it. The customers will come.
You know, you're only worth as much as you accept. So if you only accept nothing, then that's what you get, right? So, and that doesn't mean that you need to charge some ridiculously astronomical angel number prices,
Mhm.
but it's like really feel in, talk to people, like, what is this? And if also what I'm noticing as many times if you give that to them for free, I have we were talking about Ikigai before, and I've been teaching Ikigai around the world for many years, and
Okay,
I had
I
this
didn't know that.
process. Yeah, and had this process. I actually realized because Ikigai is the intersection of four questions. When I was teaching it, I realized it wasn't helping people actually execute and know what to do and how to make money at it. So I created this other process that I actually have it as a course, and people answer these 19 questions, and it goes really deep. And I worked on it for years, like figuring out what are the right questions, and then they send it to me, and I actually give them back a plan, their purpose and plan based on all the things that they answer. So very familiar with this stuff, and I got 100% success rate because my neurodivergent brain just like is very small business oriented, and how they can make at least 100,000 US on it. Anyways, what I'm realizing is in that there's so many mental shifts and blocks of people are just like they get this back and they're like, oh, doing that. Like I remember there's this one woman, and she gave me all her questions and came back. I'm like, you need to charge German women $8,000, and you're just gonna take them around Bali, and you're going to transform their lives, introduce them to all these modalities and healings and body workers and business people, and you're going to take them up volcanoes. And she's like, what? I can do that? I can charge money and do that? And now she's got these clients, and her life is literally playing. She plays and she goes one on one and transforms people's lives and has these amazing experiences. And it's like sometimes you just need someone else to like give you permission
Sure.
that yes, you can do that, and someone will charge money. And the first time someone signed up, I think she just like I think she started crying. She's like, "Oh my God, this is like my dream life. This is my dream job." So it's a reminder to know that everything is possible,
Yeah.
and that go through these steps. If you're not sure what those steps are, buy Kristen's book, come talk to me, get in my mastermind, whatever it takes for you to really find the who that has the how, because that's all you need in this world. Find the who that has the how. My friend Rory always says that. I love this one. So, Kristen, we're coming to the end. We're a little over. And I just want to say thank you for being there. And for those listening, if you'd like to get a hold of Kristen, I believe it's DetroitAvenue.com and Detroit Avenue on Instagram.
It's actually DetroitAv.com.
Mhm.
And at Detroit Av Consulting are the social medias, but the website's just DetroitAv.com.
Amazing. We'll put them in the
Yeah,
show notes. I'm
thanks.
Joe Che. You can find me at theconnectionmap.com. If anyone wants to go through that, uncovering your soul's purpose, it's so fun. I love this. It's one of my favorite things to do. Or join my weekly mastermind where we do automation in your businesses. So,
That's awesome.
Kristen, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Have an amazing day.
Thanks.